Today we're going to be doing more practice with factoring. Let's take a look at some examples together. Here we have x squared plus 11x plus 30. Now remember, we want to look to see if it's in standard form, which this is. And then we want to see whether or not there's a GCF that we can pull out from all three of those terms. We don't have any here, so we'll skip to the next step, which is to find two numbers that will multiply to 30 and add to 11. So take 30 and think of all of those pairs of numbers that will multiply to 30. Starting with 1 and 30, check to see whether or not those two numbers will add to 11 as well. 1 and 30 gives you 31, so we'll go to the next one. We have 2 and 15, which add to 17. We have 3 and 10, which add to 13. We're getting closer. And then let's see, 5 and 6. Yes, 5 and 6 will multiply to 30 and also add to 11. So now we can write this in factored form. So this will be x plus 5 and x plus 6. All right, let's look at the next example. We have 4x squared minus 48x plus 80. Now this is in standard form. We have x squared first, then the x term, then the constant. We also see here that all three of these numbers actually have a factor of 4 in common. So we can pull that GCF of 4 outside of the parentheses. So this will be 4 times x squared minus 12x plus 20. I want to make sure I leave that 4 out in front because I don't want to change this expression. I just want to factor it. Okay, so now, taking what's inside the parentheses, now we want to see if we can find two numbers that will multiply to 20 and add to negative 12. So let's start with 1 and 20. Now notice here that we have a positive number that we need to multiply to and a negative number that we have to add to. This means that both of those numbers must be negative because two negatives multiplied together give you a positive and two negatives added together give you a negative. All right, so 1 and 20, that's going to give you negative 1 and negative 20, which is negative 21. That doesn't work. Let's try 2 and 10. Negative 2 and negative 10 will multiply to 20 and will also add to negative 12. So those are the two numbers I'm looking for. So now I can write this in factored form. This is going to be 4 times x minus 2 and x minus 10. All right, let's look at example 3. We have 2x squared minus 20x plus 42. Now, this is in standard form, and we also see that all three terms have a 2 in common. So I'm going to go ahead and factor out the 2. That's going to leave me with x squared minus 10x plus 21. Keep the 2 out in front. All right, now we want to find two numbers that will multiply to 21 and add to negative 10. Again, we see that we have two numbers multiplying to a positive and adding to a negative. So both of these numbers must be negative. Okay, so start with negative 1 and negative 21. That won't give us negative 10 though. How about negative 3 and negative 7? Those will multiply to positive 21, and they will also add to negative 10. So it looks like those are going to be our two numbers. All right, so now let's write it in factored form. So we have 2 times x minus 3 times x minus 7. All right, we have one last example today. We have 5x squared minus 5x minus 30. All right, so this is in standard form. It looks like we have a GCF of 5 that we can take out from all three terms. So this will leave us with 5 times x squared minus x minus 6. And now, looking at the part in the parentheses, we're trying to find two numbers that will multiply to negative 6 and add to negative 1. So now we've tried to find factors Now, because we know that they multiply to a negative number, we know that one of these numbers will be negative. Because we have a negative number that it's going to add up to, we know that the larger number is going to be the negative number. Okay, so 1 and 6, so negative 6 and positive 1, that's going to give us negative 5, so that doesn't work. Let's try 2 and 3. Well, if we have a negative 3 and a positive 2, that will multiply to negative 6 and add to negative 1. So it looks like those are our two numbers, negative 3 and positive 2. So now we can write this in factored form. That would be 5 times x minus 3 times x plus 2. And that's it.